This video is going to be talking about everything you need to know about Australian holiday working visas. I spent 6 months in Australia working and I had an amazing time, but the process to actually get a visa and get to Australia and find a job can be a little bit difficult because there's so many steps you need to take. So this is going to run through everything you need to do before you go to Australia, and then once you're in Australia, everything you need to sort out. So let's start with visas, because that's the first thing you need before you even go into Australia, and that is the holiday working visa. You can apply for it online on a website, and I'll put it down below. It's really easy. You just fill out the form, but there's certain criteria you have to fit, and I'll put them all on the screen so you can see, but I'll just run through them. I've got them on my screen here. So you have to be 18 to 31 years old if you apply for it, and you obviously can have no children. You can't be pregnant. You can have no criminal record, so any thieves out there, this ain't for you, I'm sorry. You need a valid passport, so just get a new passport if it's going to run out soonish. You must be outside the country when you apply for it. So if you're traveling in Australia and you suddenly want to work, you can't actually apply for a visa to work. You can only apply once, so make sure you really want to do it, because if you apply and then you don't actually end up going, you can't get another one. You actually must need 5,000 Australian dollars when you enter the country so that you can support yourself before you find a job. So that's really important. And you need a flight home, or the funds for a flight home. I would recommend getting the visa 3 months in advance, so you've got plenty of time. It should only take 4 weeks, but sometimes there can be delays. So just give yourself three months to sort it all out, and then you won't be stressing or anything, and it will come in plenty of time. The actual visa costs 485 Australian dollars. But if you actually apply for it and you don't get it, then you won't get that money back. Some important things that you need to do before you even set foot in Australia. One of them is make sure your phone is unlocked. If your phone is locked with a provider, then you won't be able to get a SIM card when you get to Australia. I personally use Vodafone and it was fine. It's more expensive than a SIM card in this country, in England, but you need that, especially if you're finding a job. You need to have a number and you need data. Before you leave, make sure you've got an up-to-date CV with everything you're doing, just so you can easily apply for jobs once you get there. And also make sure you let your bank know that you're going to Australia, so they don't cancel all your cards and so you can't access any of your money. That's probably quite important. I also get asked, should I use a backpack or a suitcase? And I would always recommend getting a backpack, because if you suddenly want to go somewhere else or travel around Southeast Asia after your holiday working visa in Australia, then you don't want to be lugging around a suitcase around beaches and islands and stuff. So just take a backpack. It's so easy, and yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. Just take a backpack. Just take one. Travel insurance is really important before you leave. So they cover delays on your flights, your laptop, maybe your camera, your healthcare. Just get travel insurance. It's so important that you're covered, and then you won't be stressed. Another thing, if you want a cheap flight to Australia, is make sure you've got flexible dates. If you've got flexible dates, then you can just look on Skyscanner and put every date in and see which one's the cheapest, so that you can save money. You could probably save 100 or 200 Aussie dollars. So I do recommend having flexible dates so that you're not restricted and have to go for the most expensive flight. Okay, so once you're actually in Australia, there's 2 things you really need to do. The first one is your tax file number. You can only get a tax file number once you're in Australia. So as soon as you get there, if you're looking to work, day 1, day 2, apply online for the tax file number. I'll put the link in the description below, and it's really easy. You fill it out and then it comes within 30 days. So you can't actually get a job until you have your tax file number. So it's really important to do that just as soon as you get there, so it's out the way. The second thing you must do is to get an Australian bank account. Everyone I seem to talk to just seems to have Commonwealth Bank, so just get Commonwealth Bank because everyone's doing it. It's easy, it's simple. You can apply online, or you can just walk into one of the banks and they can do it all for you. You just need your passport, so just get it done, and then you can get paid for your job, because how else are you going to get paid if you don't have an Australian bank account? Didn't think of that, did ya? So let's talk about all the jobs and different types of jobs you can get and how to actually find a job. So one of the obvious things is you can just go into places, hand your CV in, ask people if there's jobs. Another one, which they seem to use so much in Australia, is Gumtree. Whether you're finding accommodation, finding jobs, stuff for sale, maybe an old bike for sale, they love Gumtree in Australia. I'd never used it in England, but in Australia, I used it a lot for a lot of different things. So use Gumtree to find jobs. Just be careful because some stuff on Gumtree isn't great, but you know, just be careful. So one of the things I actually used to get a job was using a job recruitment agency, and it's free and they actually get paid for finding you a job. So go to them. They will want to find you a job because they get money for it. So use job recruitment agencies and make sure you get Medicare card. You can apply online, and I'll probably leave the link in the description. You just apply for it and then you're all good. Your health is covered when you're in Australia. The other thing you can do is look in hostels for jobs, or actually work in hostels themselves. So you can actually usually work in a hostel and you get not paid, but you get free accommodation. Sometimes you get free food, maybe free Wi-Fi, all that kind of stuff. So there can be a great way of saving money, because accommodation is the most expensive thing when living in Australia. Also, if you're working in a hostel, you can make loads of new friends and it's a really cool experience. You can also do like woofing or volunteering, where you work on a farm and you get free accommodation, free food. So that can also be quite a good thing to do. Another website you can use is Backpacker Board. There's loads of jobs on that website. If you are looking to work in a bar, which is probably one of the most common jobs when in Australia, working in a bar or restaurant, you need an RSA, which is responsible, responsible serving of alcohol, and you need that to serve alcohol to work in a bar or a restaurant. So make sure you get that. You can normally just fill it out online, and it's a certificate you get sent. There's actually a different RSA for each state, so make sure whatever state you're in, if you've moved, you get the right one. The other thing to bear in mind is when you're in Australia, you can only work at one place for 6 months. So after 6 months, you have to move on to another job. So if you're looking to stay for a year, maybe you need 2 jobs, but you can obviously move on more if you want to. So moving on to accommodation when working in Australia. For the first day or the first few days, book yourself a hostel before you get into the country, just so you've got somewhere to stay and you feel safe. But after you've got a job, you may be looking for somewhere more long term, and you kind of have 2 options. You can either live in a hostel full time, 7 days a week, whatever. You can work in a hostel all the time and you can get discounts. So if it was £20 a night, usually if you're staying there and you commit to 3 months or something, you could probably get it a lot cheaper. Ask about what rates they have for cheap accommodation for long term, and you probably get really good discounts. The other place you can stay is obviously renting an apartment or flat sharing. So ways to find accommodation is flatmates.com, and it's a great website where you can just find people who want flatmates. Pretty simple, it's in the name. The other thing I used to get my apartment, which I shared with someone, was Gumtree, and Gumtree is also a great website for finding accommodation. The other way of finding jobs and actually accommodation is Facebook groups. There's so many different Facebook groups for Sydney, Melbourne, the whole of Australia, WA, Western Australia, Perth. There are so many different Facebook groups, so go on them and you'll often find people looking for flatmates or companies looking for jobs. So use those Facebook groups because there's people who are similar to you doing similar things, and they can also help you answer your questions.
Here's a quick guide to the best places to go at what time of the year. So the top half of Australia, you have the wet and dry season. So obviously the best time to go is the dry season to stay away from the rain. The bottom half of Australia has the regular 4 seasons, so the best time to go is in summer. This is just a rough guide, but during the dry season and the summer, it is going to be the busiest time of the year, so there's going to be lots of backpackers and lots of tourists in these areas. So that is something to take into account.
So I also get asked about 2nd year holiday working visas and the 3rd year holiday working visas, which is a more recent thing. And for the 2nd year, in the 1st year, you have to do 3 months farm work to apply for the 2nd year. What the farm work is, you have to do regional work in which you get paid money to work on a farm for 3 months. This could be fruit picking, maybe construction in a regional area, but you must get paid for it. And then they sign a form off, and that allows you to get a 2nd year. So finding farm work can be difficult, because if you're living in Sydney and you want to find farm work, obviously that's not the best place. But again, look on Facebook groups, go to travel desks and like travel desks in hostels, because they can actually help you find a job. Even if you have to pay a bit of money, it's a safe way of getting a job and making sure you get that second year visa. And for the third year visa, which is a more recent thing, is you must do 6 months farm work. So it's the same kind of thing. You need to do regional work, whether that's fruit picking, etc., etc. So you must do that 6-month regional work to get that third year holiday working visa. The other thing is, when you're doing farm work or regional work, they often are paid pretty well. And the other thing is, you often get your accommodation like sorted for you, and sometimes food. So that is a great way of saving money. So if you're looking to save money, that is the perfect way. So even if you're not looking for a second year, if you want to save up a lot of money, maybe farm work is the way to go. So doing regional and farm work can be quite a lot of effort, but it can be a great experience, and you can meet loads and loads of people who are doing like a rubbish job for like 3 months or 6 months so they can stay for a second year. I didn't do it myself, but I've met so many people who have, and they said even though it was a lot of effort, the people you did it with, it was made it like bearable and good fun, and you do save a lot of money, as I've said. So that is the end of the video. If you did find it helpful, please give me a like, subscribe to my channel, because I've got loads more travel content coming. If you've got any questions, please DM me. I'll leave my Instagram here, or leave it in the comments and I will get back to you. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later.